Good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this October 10th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. We're glad you're here, and we're on the EOA network.
Morning.
Morning. How are you?
Good. What is today? Second Monday.
It's the second Monday. It feels like a second Monday.
Yeah, it does. It does. You know what I was noticing the other day, because I'm doing all those senior interviews. Nobody can sit still in these chairs.
Yeah.
These swivelly chairs.
Yeah.
They just want to go. They want to it's like, I'm going to
especially
we need a lock on these.
Especially if you get a little nervous. They get a little,
Yeah. They just sit there and rock back and forth, back and forth. I noticed it really bad yesterday.
Yeah. And it's distracting.
Yeah.
But
distracting to the viewer, probably.
Right. Well, I don't know.
Not necessarily to me.
You know, it's so funny because some people notice, some people will be distracted about some things that other people won't even notice. You know, it's kind of like, you know, somebody who's tapping their finger, tapping a.
Yeah, it drives some people
crazy.
Yeah,
just like, they'll walk in the room like, who is tapping? Yeah. You know.
And then some people don't even notice it at all.
Yeah, I've been guilty of the one that's tapping, and you know, and you're just you don't even know what you're doing. So.
This group of seniors this year seem that they've been quite a bit more nervous than I think more than last year. I don't know why.
Well, are they? Well, I was going to say, are they younger? But they're seniors.
No, I think what it is this year I'm doing them all in here.
Oh,
and so I'm in the same room as them.
Right.
Last year I did them all
remotely
in separate rooms.
Yeah.
I think it does affect. I really do.
Well, and it does. But this particular age of kids, however old they are,
18, most of them, 17.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody, these youngsters, for lack of a better term, went through COVID. I mean, and so they went through. You know, even the elementary kids, they went through a couple of years of remote learning and just being in front of a
computer.
Remote learning. That's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
But
my kids didn't learn nothing during
that's what I meant. Remote learning. Yeah.
You know, what's funny about that is I got my middle kid, he's gonna graduate this year, Kyron. And I honestly, like, he was a straight A student before COVID.
Uh-huh.
Now, I mean, he's scratching C's. Seriously.
Yeah.
And it has 100% to do with disengagement.
Yeah.
He just disengaged. There was times where we would have a conversation. We talk, you know, pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And he said that there was times where he would only see his teacher like once or twice a week. Like,
right.
That's crazy.
Right. How's anybody going to learn?
Yeah.
I mean, even an adult who is disciplined, and I wouldn't call my one of the. I mean, you can't learn. I mean, it's really hard to stay on task. You know.
I wonder how it's going to affect. So this group of seniors right here, their first year of high school was the first year of COVID. So they basically went from middle school to learning online. They didn't get to go to school much, you know, for their freshman year. I wonder how it's going to affect this year moving into college. Like these kids from this year moving into college. It's going to be tough.
Well, and then the other thing which we had through COVID, I mean, we still have is I don't know about you, but I sometimes will sit down and just scroll through Instagram, and I'll look up and 30 minutes has gone by, and it's like
way more than that for me sometimes.
Yeah, and
like 3 hours before.
And so then how much more would a kid, you know, just that would be there? Well, and then it reminds me, in fact, you told me about somebody who like had a girl that he was interested in, but
my son, you can say it. It's fine.
So
he never even talked to her face to face.
That's funny, yeah.
And they went to the same school, and he asked her out over Instagram, and he never even talked to the girl face to face. And they go to the same school.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Want to know something else crazy? They had their homecoming on Friday. My son.
Yeah.
They cut the dance short by an hour and a half, 9:30, because they had two medical emergencies at the dance. One of them was an overdose.
Wow.
At a high school homecoming dance.
Wow.
Terrible. And my son didn't know like exactly what it was. I'm assuming it was probably fentanyl.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't overdose on weed. You can overdose on alcohol, but
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I'm assuming that the kid probably got something that had some fentanyl cut in it, or I mean, maybe alcohol, but my son thinks it was fentanyl, like some sort of drug. And that's crazy, man. That was unheard. Yeah. Okay. Homecoming dance, we drank a little bit. You know, we'd sneak, you know, we'd go, you know, in the parking lot, sneak a couple shots. But nobody was snorting lines or smoking meth or, you know what I mean? Like maybe a few people, but it wasn't like people dropping down on the dance floor.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Did you follow that story? It was a national story for a few days about the daycare center in New York.
Never heard of.
Yeah, so they had a couple of toddlers or kids that were at a daycare center, and they came down with they all overdosed. I think one of them died, and they found out that it was fentanyl.
Contact or just
they didn't know, and so then they investigated the thing, and these people were using their daycare center as a fentanyl distribution place at the same time. Yeah, so I mean, they pulled up the floorboards, and there's pounds and pounds of fentanyl. You know, so it's just.
And you can overdose just from inhaling it.
Yeah,
like that. There's a couple of videos online of ones of a cop, and like just goes into an overdose just from it being in the air.
So they went into it, and these people they had pill presses and the whole 9 yards, and so they were. I don't know why. I don't know what the point would be putting fentanyl in. I mean, clearly it's being done, but I'm not sure what the point is. The point is to increase the potency of the.
Yeah, and it's cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's say you're selling.
You don't need a lot of it to get really hot.
Well, let's say you're selling OxyContin. Yeah. Okay. And you're pressing OxyContin pills. I think people do that.
I have no idea how it works.
What's the motivation of putting fentanyl in it? I don't get it.
I think they cut back on whatever drug, whatever the opiate is they use for one thing, and add fentanyl to it because it's cheap.
Make it a little bit more.
Yeah. A little more bang for your buck.
But and that's how a lot of people are.
Can't people just stick to good old heroin?
Boy,
I take that back.
It's like that. It's like I cannot get that statement to go in either.
No, I mean I've been around.
No, I know what you're saying.
A third of my life I was around heroin addicts, so I kind of know,
Right.
But at the same time, I think that fentanyl is probably the worst drug that's happened to us, at least in my lifetime.
And I think if I understand it right, it is so, just a little bit is so poisonous. I mean, a little bit can kill you.
Take a lot.
Yeah, a little bit can kill you. And so then, if someone was a heroin addict, they had some confidence that they were getting heroin and they weren't getting something else that was going to take their life right on the spot.
I wish I had my phone so I could read the text I sent my son after we talked about this overdose thing. I basically just said, you know what? I know you're probably going to experiment with alcohol. I don't care about weed. Don't touch anything else. You know what I mean? Like even weed can be laced nowadays, but like don't touch any of the stuff that is man-made. That's don't.
Right, and that's the danger of it. Is you have somebody with a pill press in a back room, and they're playing Mr. Pharmacist, and one of those ingredients is fentanyl, and just a tiny error can take the life of someone. Yeah. I mean that's what's going on. If I understand it right.
Yeah.
Well,
it's crazy.
Here we go, off on a tangent, man.
Yeah, that's all right. Let's do some sports.
All right, here we go.
Morning Sports Report brought to you by Rockin' Sons Tire and Auto, East End of Adams and LeGrand. Go see JB and the boys. Let's talk about LeGrand first off. The Tigers hosted Madras on Friday night. They got a big win, 36-14. We looked. I'm not going to say we looked good. We looked okay in my eyes. I mean, yeah, it's a win. We're still struggling with discipline. There was a lot of penalties again. And like I said a couple weeks ago, I just don't see on the sidelines, I don't see that fire like that you've seen from previous LeGrand teams. And I don't know if it's just because we're young and inexperienced, the new coach. But if we want to make the playoffs, which right now I'm going to say it's a stretch for us to make the playoffs. We're going to have to change some things around, and we're going to have to beat Ontario for sure. We already lost to Baker. Pendleton's going to be a tough game. We go on the road this Friday and play Crook County, and it's a must-win. It's absolute must-win in my eyes if we want any shot at making the playoffs. I got some highlights from Friday's game. I'm just going to play a few of these, and then we'll come back right after this.
Madras airs it out. Intercepted by number 2, Landon Hood.
Landon Hood with the interception for the Tigers.
Nice play there by the sophomore. You know, some people will say that that's like a punt. It is. I mean, if that ball gets dropped, they punt on 4th down. But that pumps up your team when you pick a ball off. I love it. I love it. Let's get this team on the sideline pumped up. Oh, nice play there by Landon Hood. Landon Hood is showing up on defense so far for the Tigers. They run sweep. Landon Hood says no.
Anyway, so yeah, that game on Friday, 36-14 win over Madras. Yeah, like I said, we played okay. I mean, we played good enough to win, and against a Madras team that was not good. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but they're not the caliber of teams that we play in our own conference even. And the game against Ontario in 2 weeks, Ontario's been historically bad, you know, for the last 10 years at football. This year, they're not bad. They really aren't. So we're gonna have to step it up. We have to win on Friday. We have to beat Ontario, and that's the only way we have a chance at making the playoffs. EOU volleyball got 2 more wins this last weekend. Polls come out tomorrow. I think we're probably going to move up 1 spot. So we'll probably go from number 4 to number 3. 2 of the top 3 teams didn't lose over the weekend. So you got those 2. They're both undefeated. But one of the top 3 teams did lose, and that was their second loss. So I think we'll move up to number 3. EOU football had a huge win this weekend on the road in Havre. Did I say that right? Havre?
It's Havre.
Havre.
Yeah.
It's just spelled. It should be Haver.
Yeah. And the only reason I knew that is because I grew up in Wyoming and
Montana.
Montana.
I knew you'd know that, and I say it wrong every time. Anyways, they won 28-3 over MSU Northern. The defense has only given up 16 points in the last 3 games, as opposed to 129 points in the first 3 games. So there's been a shift, and some of it is personnel, and some of it's the teams that we played. But we moved Blaine Shaw into the box. There's a few things that have happened personnel-wise, and this looks more like EOU defense that's led by Brian Mills that I've come to love in the past. You know what I mean? And the big games this Saturday, though, at Community Stadium, it's homecoming, 1:00 p.m. against number 10 in the country, Carroll. And man, if EOU can pull this game off, we're right back in the mix. I mean, they're 2-1 in the Frontier right now. They're 2-4 overall. They started out really tough. You know, they started out 0-4. They won their last 2 in a row. But this Carroll game is a huge one on Saturday at 1:00. EOU volleyball's at home this weekend as well. They play at 5:00 on Friday. 7 on Friday against Evergreen, and then they turn around and play at 5 on Saturday against the only team that's beat them all year, Northwest, which is weird because Northwest is not a great volleyball team. We just didn't play them good. And so we're looking for redemption on Saturday, and I think we'll handle them on homecoming Saturday at home.
Good.
Both men's and women's soccer play C of I on Friday in Caldwell. It's travel partner week for EOU soccer, so they'll go play just one game and then they'll come back. They'll be back for homecoming. I'll have a schedule for all the EOU homecoming events on the show on Thursday morning. This morning's sports report is brought to you by Rock & Sons Tire and Auto, east end of Adams and LeGrand. Go see JB and the boys.
All righty. Well, let's look outside with our weather here. It's fall, man. I had the video. I don't know if that's moving.
I felt a little cold last night in my house.
Yeah,
it was a little chilly.
It was. We were at the Harvest Festival in downtown LeGrand, and the wind came up at one point and just blew this. I mean, it was like a leaf snowstorm. I'd never been. Yeah, it was just, so the leaves were just really loose, and there hadn't been much wind. I mean, there's been a lot of wind the last couple of days, but that was like the very beginning of it, and it just came. And I mean, it was so unique.
Wasn't it last year the leaves took forever to fall off the trees?
Yeah, it seems like it was. Yeah.
I think it was last year. Like, it was real late.
Yeah.
The weather's just weird.
It is weird. And I had a weather graphic here. Let me get it in real quick. I forgot to. Okay, here we go. So
high at 58 today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fall.
So yep, it's kind of what we're looking at.
Maybe next week it'll like sneak in a couple more 70s for us.
That would be good on Saturday. No, Sunday. Sunday afternoon. We have a burn pile out in Island City.
Can you burn now?
You can.
Oh, you can.
But it was so windy, and yeah, this is the problem with burn piles is that you get they get soaked with rain,
yeah.
and then they need a couple of days to dry out, and then
that's what you use diesel for.
Is that what you use diesel for?
That's what we do out on the farm.
Yeah.
Just dump a bunch of diesel on it, it'll burn.
Yes, I do know this. Yeah. Just don't dump gasoline.
Done that too.
Yeah, I have too. Those are one of those things that you do when you're young. Put it that way.
Diesel's a lot safer, I think.
Yeah, well, it's not diesel. The fumes. With gasoline,
right?
The fumes are.
Yeah.
They'll catch on fire. Just the fumes, So, anyhow,
my favorite toy as a kid out on the farm, out on my aunt and uncle's farm, was the little drip thing that you use for weeds.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even know what that is.
I love that thing. You get on the 4-wheeler and just drip weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are they called? What are those called?
I don't know. They probably can't even make them. Probably don't even make them anymore.
They have one out there.
Yeah.
It's a little can for people that don't know. It's got a little thing that comes off of it, and you fill it full. I think diesel.
Probably. Yeah.
And then you light it, and you drip it out, and you burn weeds, and you can use it for all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah.
I think they use it for making fire lines.
Doing backfires.
Yeah, like making a line.
Right.
To stop a fire as well, but I think they're a little bigger.
Yeah. So, Donna will be able to answer those questions here in a minute. Donna Beverage, Union County Commissioner, who is, her and her family also are farmers. She'll be with us here in just a minute. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with Donna Beverage, Union County Commissioner. Glad you're here with us.
Glad to be here. Thank
So
you.
yeah, so those torches are of it, but it's not what's it called?
Just a drip torch is what
Drip
it says
torch,
on
yeah.
Amazon. You can buy them for $170. That's sounds awfully expensive for.
Yeah.
You know what the most dangerous toy though is on the farm? I think, anyways, just in my time on the farm, them orange axes, or I mean the orange saws. You know, the bow saw. It's orange and it's got the really grangly teeth on them. I cut myself 3 times in my life with one of those, just because you're sawing on a piece of wood and it's got the big teeth on it.
Yeah.
And if you're going
Wailing
after
away,
it jumps off. They jump off and they bite you. I have scars on both of my thumbs from them. Yeah. On the knuckle. Yeah.
There's a lot of dangerous things on farms. It's just I mean I spent hours and hours just wandering around with cousins, just getting in trouble and stuff. And you kind of look back. It's not the same world now as what it was then. Yeah.
No.
We have one of those saws, but my husband won't let me use it. He's afraid I'll cut my arm off or something.
They're dangerous. They really are. And here I am, like 7 years old, the first time I'm using one, and I'm just going to town, and it jumps off the log, because you got your hand sitting there holding the piece of wood. And, it's the perfect angle to just whack a thumb. Yeah.
So did you grow up on farms?
Yep. I lived in Union on a farm my whole life.
Wow.
Born on a farm. So it's second nature to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, cool. Well, glad you're here with us today.
Glad to be here.
And as you folks know, we try and have one of the Union County Commissioners once every month. And this is your rotation.
This is my rotation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I even remembered this time.
Yeah. So how you doing?
Doing good. Yeah. Keeping busy.
Good.
Yeah.
What's up in the Commissioner Union County world?
Well, legislation went all spring and into the little bit into the summer, into the end of June. And then now they're going to have a short session. So now we're working with other counties in Oregon to figure out, we're not going to get much done in that short session, but what are our priorities, and what can we come together on as priorities to bring to the state. So had 3 different meetings yesterday. It's with AOC, Association of Oregon Counties, kind of fine tuning what we care about and what we want to prioritize during that short period.
So the longer session, about halfway through, was suspended with walkouts, right?
Right. So a lot of stuff that we were hoping would get through, didn't get through.
And then they came back at the last minute and passed the fiscal stuff, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Just to tide them over, I guess.
Money stuff. Yeah. And so now then this is the short session.
Yep.
And
I believe that each legislature has to come with their top 3 priorities. So, of course, everybody's fighting for what those priorities are going to be. For example, if you're the senator, like Senator Hansel, and you're covering, several counties, how do you choose, top 3?
Right.
And be fair to everybody. So it's a very difficult time, but anyway, that is what we are working with right now. So, yeah.
So what are your top 3s, or what is Union County's top 3s?
Well, Union County doesn't have a specific top 3. We have more than 3, obviously.
Yeah,
right. But one thing that we're concerned about is the wildfire map that was put out last year. That didn't make any sense. And so we have been working with the Oregon Department of Forestry and different groups. They've been doing public meetings, getting people's opinions. Supposedly they're supposed to have another one out. We're concerned with, the process on that and the effects that it could have. And so that's been a high priority for us.
So explain that, what was wrong with it, and from our standpoint of what needs to be changed.
It didn't make sense. There were people that were put in a high area. They just looked at this gigantic map. Right. But nothing, didn't do an on the ground survey or work with local people to say, hey, what in your area would fit within this? It was kind of just a high view that could have hurt a lot of people. And then some people that maybe needed some help wouldn't have gotten it. So we're asking for local input. Take your time. We don't even really want this one to go out because we think it's rushing it. We just want to make sure that if it does have to go out, and if it's necessary, that we take our time and do it correctly.
So this is a map that kind of classifies property and the risk that it has.
Right, the
of
fire risk.
Right.
That's correct. So, for example, if you have irrigated farmland, that would, to us, would obviously be a low priority because it's irrigated. So
Right.
the fire's not going to go rushing across it. But none of that was really taken into account. So we've been having those discussions, and hopefully we can make a difference in how that map's eventually put together.
And the reason that matters is because all of a sudden you have owners of irrigated farmland and their insurance rates are changing.
Or a person in town
Yeah.
that's insurance goes sky high, but maybe they're not in a high risk area.
Yeah.
Supposedly insurance has nothing to do with this, but I know eventually that would have something to do with it, looking at these maps. But
Right.
there's many reasons why. So we just want the local people. Every county's different.
Right.
We want the local elected officials and people in that area to be able to put these maps together and make sure that they're correct.
Good. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a priority. Of course, backburning and thinning, fire in general, which has to do with these maps, is always important to us, making sure that we have funding to do the thinning that we need to manage our forests that could prevent fires and that kind of thing. So that's always an issue, has been for years and years and years. And we're working on, we want to make sure that we're not on the, we want to make sure that instead of always on the defense, to keep fires away, that we're on the offense. We're working ahead to plan ahead. So if the fire does come, then we don't have towns that burn down and that kind of
Right.
thing. So we would like to be more on the offense in that situation. So that's a priority to us.
I have a question about that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the last couple of years have been very light fire seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
This last summer and the summer before.
Yeah.
Are we expecting, it's got to come sometime, right?
Right. I mean, it's one of those things you can't really predict.
Right.
I'm very thankful that we haven't had the high, fires. Luckily this fall, just about the time that we were getting really high risk, we started getting some cooler weather and some rain, which, was a blessing
Right.
For the farmers and for the fire thing. But as dry as it was, like middle of August or so.
I know everybody was worried.
We were very fortunate that we didn't get a lightning strike in the wrong spot or that kind of thing. So we should always be working and being on the offensive, trying to think, okay, we don't know when that's going to happen, right?
Right.
Paradise, California, they didn't know when that was going to happen. Or it could be a day where the wind's going 40 miles an hour.
Like the gorge a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. It's, when everything comes together, I guess correctly or incorrectly, like Hawaii or whatever, we don't know. So we want to make sure that we're planning ahead for that. And our emergency manager and all the different fire departments and the state agencies, they've really been working hard on, trying to get that so that we're working in the offense, not waiting and then having to mop up some horrible situation.
Yeah, being proactive.
Yeah,
instead
they're being
of reactive.
proactive.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Yep.
Good.
So,
all right.
Another thing I've been working on personally as a commissioner is out at the Baum Industrial Park in La Grande. I just need to finish one road, and I was hoping to get funding through the legislature, but I'm still working on that. And so I've been working with ODOT and Regional Solutions, which is out of from the governor's office. It's our liaison, and Business Oregon, because I have a couple of lots that businesses want to move into, but they just need a road to get the trucks in and out. So that's been a high priority for me to try to get funding for that. My goal the whole time I've been a commissioner as a liaison to economic development is to make sure if we have a local business that wants to expand, that I can help them find a piece of property that works for them and help them to expand. So,
and that's been pretty successful. I mean, right?
Yeah. So the industrial park was empty 7 years ago when I started, and we just got an offer on the last lot. So now we are looking for more industrial land. We're working on trying to get some rezoning done in the county. And I know the city of LeGrand's doing that too, for industrial and commercial land. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, very cool.
It's a good problem to have. I know we have a housing shortage, but as you saw, Island City's building some new houses, and then the city of LeGrand just approved some rezoning for some new housing too. So we are working in all those different areas right now, because they kind of go together. Got to have a place to live in order to bring in more people. And so, because we do have a fairly low employment rate, which is good. And that can be a problem for an employer that's looking for workers.
Right.
But it's one that's totally different from when I was a kid. So, yeah.
Yeah. Good. All righty.
Okay. So
what
I'll
else
kind of
you
go
got?
through my list.
Okay.
So there's so many things. Representative Levy, who's our representative for Wallowa Union and part of Umatilla County. One of her high priorities that she's working on now is the elk, all the extra elk we have, and the damage that they are doing to the farm ground in Union County and haystacks and that kind of thing. So she's working on a possible compensation plan for, because it doesn't look like we're going to have less elk.
No.
Because even with damage tags, we have probably, I don't know how, don't take my word for this, but about double what the land can hold, what we were hoping to have. And so there's no way we're going to get less elk. So if there's a way that we could compensate people for, the damage that's being done, that's what she is working on.
So what do you think, what has changed? I mean, I think I have some ideas, but what has changed that we have and this is,
well, I can just give you my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a lot more predators in the mountains.
Yeah.
So we have a lot more, we have the wolves.
So then the elk are being pushed down to the valley.
And cougars and that kind of thing. So yeah, they're smart. There's nice green, things to eat down here, alfalfa and that kind of thing. And there's predators up there. So why not be down here? That's my opinion.
And 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that wasn't the case.
We had elk come down a little bit if there was a very deep snow up in the mountains.
Yeah.
And there was absolutely nothing to eat. Because I lived on Lower Cove Road, and I know the elk would come down, but it was usually maybe a 2-week period.
Yeah. When
there was very deep snow, and they were starving, which I don't blame them for coming down. Now it's a hereditary thing too. If if your babies were used to living down here,
right.
Well, then when they're just, that becomes habit, the next generation. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But I believe it started from the predators that we have up in the, up in the forest.
Do you think do we have a bigger population of cows? Can that be an issue too?
I don't believe we have a bigger population of cows. I believe we have more cropland and less cattle than we have.
No, I'm sorry. I meant cow elk.
Oh, cow elk.
Yeah. Do you think? Yeah. So
and that kind of made sense though too, the cow question, because people do free range their cows, and that could be affecting.
Right. But they do it. But if you compare it to 20 years ago, there's less cattle free ranging, or even down in the valley in Union County. Now, Baker and Wallowa County, no, but I would say Union County, more cropland and less cattle. I don't know if there's less cow elk or not.
I guess because if you're a hunter, getting a cow tag is difficult.
I think you guys should invite ODFW.
Getting a tag. Yeah, no, I think.
Well, the damage control tags are all cows, I think.
Well, right, but
I think that it's pretty much cows. Yeah.
But I guess what I'm wondering is if there's just if part of it is there the ODFW is not harvesting as many cows as what they should. You know what I mean? If the population of elk is
right,
I think it has more to do with what she was talking about predators. Before. There's we don't have more elk probably overall. Probably around the same amount. They're just down here longer and doing more damage to the valley.
Well, it's both, because we do have a lot more elk.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, they come up with numbers that they say would be the ideal amount for this area, and we're way over that ideal amount. So it's a combination of this.
So when you say this area, is that taking into account the mountains too?
Yeah.
Like, so it's the full on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like the Willow Whitman forests.
Then why do I always hear everybody that are like the people that are like against, like straight up against wolves? Why are they always saying that we're running out of animals to hunt and this and that?
I don't know. I can't speak for
I've heard that numerous times. Like you pull an elk tag and you can't even find an elk up on that mountain anymore.
Well, I mean, so I can't put that all together.
Yeah, me neither.
I can't put that all together. I mean, there's some discrepancies there that would be really interesting.
We need to get ODF and W. That's our goal for.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, I don't want to answer questions that I'm not an expert on. So that I would.
Well, and the local ODF people that I've talked to, they understand. I mean, they're from Eastern Oregon. They understand the situation and stuff. And we'll just need to connect with somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because that'd be awesome.
Yeah. But we are getting rid of 10 wolves. They're going to Colorado. Did you hear that?
No, they're capturing and moving them.
Yeah, Colorado wants wolves, so we're going to take 10 of ours. And
is that a joke or is that real?
No, it's real.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah.
I mean, wolves are indigenous to this area.
Yeah.
Well, not the wolves that they've reintroduced. That was a different wolf that was indigenous. But anyway, that's a different discussion. So I would have ODFW come for that.
So they're going to capture 10 wolves and take them to Colorado.
They are. Yeah, that was on Elkhorn Media yesterday. So that's a true story. Huh. And I think it was
because everything that comes out on the media is true.
Well, no, it was a press release.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's true.
I'd love to see how they do that.
But I see what you're saying. Okay, and so you've probably heard, it was in the newspaper also, that there's a record kicker coming out from the state. $5.61 billion is the kicker. That's the largest one that they've ever had, and that will be given to you through your tax returns next year. So they will figure out according to what taxes you paid, what you overpaid, and then you will get a discount on your taxes for 2023. So,
well, and I have followed that story and watched a newscast about it last night from out of Portland.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, and I can't imagine that there's probably some bureaucrats, maybe for a better word, that's like, oh, we should have spent more money. I mean, how does
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things. So there, what I read yesterday was that, if you haven't gotten your taxes done for last year, 2022, make sure you get those done and get those paid so that you can get your kicker back. Because if you didn't pay your taxes, obviously, and then they will look at people that, maybe weren't paying child support and that kind of thing, and that will come out of your kicker. So they will, there will be some things that come out of your kicker.
And you're not really
should.
And as it should.
And you're not getting, you don't get the kicker in cash. You get the kicker is actually a credit against future
of what you would have
taxes.
Like if your taxes next year were $1,000 and your kicker's $400, then you will only pay $600 tax.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not in cash.
Yeah.
It'll be a discount on what you pay.
Yeah.
And
certainly that when I thought like, oh wow, we're going to kicker. What are we going to do with that cash? It's like, no,
you're not going to get cash. I do remember a long time ago, didn't we get cash?
It seems like we got did checks. At one point. There was a check. Yeah.
Getting old. I'm getting old. So the place-based water planning that I've talked to you guys about before.
Yeah.
We're still working on that. And the Eastern Oregon Women's Coalition was here in August and did a tour of Union County.
Oh, we haven't had you on since then.
No, we haven't.
Yeah. And we've talked about it.
Yeah, and we had 4 buses that did tours, and I was in charge of the water tour. And so our bus was completely full. We had to turn people away, and we had senators, representatives from all over Oregon that wanted to see what we were working on, and it was pretty exciting. We started at the golf course in Union, looked at the reuse of the water, and so the beautiful golf course, plus the fact that Union uses it for their water after it's been used. And really, when it hits a golf course, it's clean enough to drink. Now, I'm not going to drink it. You're not probably going to, but it will pass the test to be drinkable if it needed to be. And it goes into a pond up there and it helps water the golf course. That was one of the first places we went. And everybody thought it was amazing. And several people said, we want to copy this in our area. So that was kind of neat to see. And then the second stop we made was at Catherine Creek, and it was a fish passage project. And so we were able to go out on the landscape, and it had been done about 3 years ago. So people could see, how it had come along, how the forage had come along, and learned about, how it had helped the fish. Mm-hmm. So that was a good one. And then we went to Cove, and Cove has a hydroelectric plant above the city. And so we went up and looked at their hydroelectric plant and their storage above it, and talked about how our place-based planning, one of our top 4 goals, is to possibly get a little more storage up there so that they will have more hydroelectric above Cove. And had some representatives ask the question, in a pinch, could the city of Cove possibly use this hydroelectric to keep their town going? And how many houses would that help? And that's clean energy, hydroelectric.
Is that ran by the spring? Is that natural spring out there? Is what?
It's springs coming off the mountain, and they're filling a pond right above the hydroelectric. Huh. And
Cove has the best water.
Cove has good water. And this hydroelectric is being sold to Avista, but we just talked about the possibility of it maybe someday serving the town of Cove, which would make sense because that's local, right? So, so I had a lot of interest in looking at that project and how much it would cost to fund upgrading it. So I'm kind of excited about that.
So before you go on, so I created a little URL.
That's on the next stop.
Yeah, okay. Is that your next stop? Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So after we left Cove, we went out to Lower Cove Road and talked to a farmer, Jed Hassinger, about the flooding that we get quite more often than we used to years ago. And the flooding video that you made, what was that, about 4 years ago?
I want to say 19. Was it 19 or 2019 or
so about 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And so what we did is you made a website for us, and then before we got there, I had everybody get their phones out and they could pull that website up since it wasn't flooding this summer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And they could see before we got there what had happened in the past.
Yeah.
And then we pulled up to Catherine Creek on Booth Lane, and then Jed got on and talked to them about how that damages the farmer, damages the fish, how storage could how storage could help it, especially the creek was very low right there, to show them that, we have all this water in the spring, most springs, but then this time of year it's very low, which isn't good for the fish or the farmer.
Right.
And so that was really good. Thank you for putting that, putting that in a convenient place for people to find.
Yeah. And if the URL is grandronfloods.com, I believe.
Yep. So everybody check that out.
And it's not even a web page. It actually links to a Google form, and then the Google form, they can click the URL to get to the video and so on and so forth.
So anybody today could do that, couldn't they?
Yeah. We're just gonna hang on to we're just gonna hang on to that. But
I'm testing it right now to make sure it works.
The interesting thing about that flood video, which is, Patty Bingaman called me on a Sunday morning, said, "Hey, can you go on a flight with Rob Beck?" Rob Beck is a pilot and a farmer out in the valley, and so she had prearranged that. Can you take your camera? And she paid me. She paid us to do that, and so then she funded that whole thing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then in the meantime, Phil Hassinger. Thank you.
Another farmer is Jed's dad.
Jed's dad, right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I had known Phil because Michaela, I think both Michaela and Kelsey had worked they had worked for him during the summer when they were kids. Yeah. And so Phil had he wrote that script, and he had actually, I think he's kind of a writer. I mean, that's one of the things that he does. And so he wrote this thing. And so then as I had the whole thing with Patty, that whole video just kind of came together. Because she we shot the footage and we did the stuff, and then it's like, well, can we put something together? Can we make something together? And we
like official video.
Yeah. And so she just kept, well, how much would that cost? How much would that, and so then it finally.
I'll have to tell Patty thank you next time I see her.
No, absolutely. She's the one who just by sheer will. And so we did the video, and then the other thing that was funny was we wanted to do interviews of the farmers that had been impacted. And she's the only one that could get that many farmers around a table in the middle of farming season.
Right.
Yeah.
To talk about it.
Yeah. So then once we had that footage, then we took Phil's script and kind of narrowed it down and massaged it, and that's kind of how that whole video
I thought
together.
it was great.
Yeah.
And then we had a farm tour, and we showed it to all of the farmers in the valley. Remember
right.
that?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. We went to, we stopped and we showed everybody that video.
Yeah.
And so that was really good. And then now it's been shown again to people from all over Oregon.
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact count was for the Eastern Oregon Economic Summit, but I'm going to guess it was 400 or more.
Yeah.
And many, I was surprised that one representative came all the way from Milwaukee, Oregon.
Yeah.
On our water tour. So I met a lot of people that I had never met before, but people that were very interested in water. So our next stop was there in Cove with your video, talking to Jed in the flooding. And then our last visit was up the Grand Ronde River to Bird Track Springs. And that was a newer fish passage project. And so what I really was striving to do on this project was to represent all the water users. So fish, farmers, and the cities. So that's why we tried to spread around what we looked at, because I think that all uses of water are important, and whatever project we come up with, if we're helping one use, I want to make sure we don't harm the others. And also the Representative Mark Owens and some of the representatives worked hard to get an extra $1 million for the four pilot projects. So as us being one of those four, we got $250,000 to continue to work on implementation of some of the projects we're working on, which are some underground storage, the hydroelectric, and then maybe some off-channel storage in a couple of areas. So those are the things that we're working on now, doing a lot of testing and analyzing and all that kind of stuff that has to be done before you can follow through. Unfortunately, nothing happens fast, but we are working on those right now.
Good.
Nice.
So,
and you're going to get more viewers of the video because I put the link right there and for people to click on.
okay,
so.
Perfect. Great.
And another thing too, another interesting fact, you talk about Phil Hassinger. He was my teacher in high school too.
That's right.
Yeah,
Was he a teacher? I didn't know
he
that.
was, well, he was a substitute teacher, but he was like one of those ones like Paul. Everybody, you know what I mean? Like when you had Mr. Hassinger, it was a happy day.
Okay, well, that's pretty neat. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
That
pretty cool.
and that video was so unique in I've put together hundreds of videos, but normally they're planned out ahead of time and you kind of figure out what it is you need and so on and so forth. And that one was just a piece at a time. We just kind of followed the story and
then put it all together.
Yeah. And but that wouldn't have happened without Patty.
Now people all over Oregon have seen it. And, her whole today, even more people.
Yeah. Her whole determination was, I want to be sure that we record this. And she said this many times, I want to record this event and make a video so that something can happen. It might not happen until long after I'm gone, but that's something.
I want to tell that story.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So another thing I wanted to talk about was this last Saturday, went down to the CHD and they had a walk starting at 10 o'clock and it's called Oregon Recovers. And so it looked like there was about 70 people there, and Commissioner Andrus and I were both there, and we spoke to the people recovering from drugs, alcohol, whatever they're recovering from, or in the process of doing that, and how important that is. And they also gave us a 12-step handout. From them knowing about recovery, they can tell us, what they want us to present to the legislature what they feel is important for people to recover. So that was really, really good. And I always enjoy going to events like that, such great people. And then this coming Saturday up at Mira, Mount Emily Recreation Area, will be the drug-free run. And so you can go online and sign up, or you can just show up that day and sign up. I usually take a couple of grandkids with me, and we do the walk because I'm not very coordinated or in shape. They have a shorter version, which is a mile up and back that's flat ground that you could just take some grandkids or whatever. Or and then they have the longer ones that are a run, and they're like 3K and 5K. And it's to make money to support the Safe Communities Coalition, which I'm on that board. So they do a lot of good things in Union County.
That originally was the 24-hour relay, and my mom was one of the people that started that.
And they go on the up here
at the track. Yeah, I bet I did it probably like 5 times.
You'd stay all night, get a tent or something.
Yeah, you tent, and my mom was one of the people that started that here.
Okay, very cool. Well, so now they just do the, start in the morning and it goes through the day. But last year they used the golf course in Union just because of COVID and different things going on. And anyway, so we're back to Mira now. So
very cool. That's next Saturday.
What Saturday, time? 8 o'clock in the morning.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. And that's pretty much all I have on my list right now. I could go on for quite a few things. But busy all the time. Union is just looking into hiring a new city manager. So just went and visited with the 4 finalists on that. They've offered someone the job. We'll see how that all turns out. They were all really good people, but all the commissioners were liaisons to different towns because we want to make sure that we, keep in touch. We don't want to be isolated from our cities because we represent the whole county. So that was fun to do and see that there's so many qualified people that are, that had applied for that job.
I have another question for you. You know the little commissioner swap that Commissioner Andrews has done with the lady in Molten. Are you going to do that?
Yeah, I would love to. We AOC has a list of people that they're trying to put together, and I have actually had commissioners come here before, not as fancy and official as Commissioner Andrews, but I've had people that have come. They haven't stayed at my house or anything, but they've stayed for a day or two. I've given them a tour. And then we go to other counties a lot. We just got back from Klamath County 2 weeks ago, and we're able to see some of their issues. Yeah, I'd never been there before. But one reason I really wanted to go to Klamath County is they do have a lot of water problems. And because I work on water, I needed to know, how are you handling? So I got a couple of really good ideas from them and some things that I'm going to replicate in Union County. So for me, it might not always be a one-on-one. Another trip I took was to Tillamook County when I first became a commissioner, but it was for more than one commissioner, and we did a bus tour and we learned what their issues are, and whoever wanted to come could. And so there's probably 20 or 30 commissioners that came, and then so that was really good to learn, their situation compared to ours. They have all the dairies. They have a lot more flooding than we do. I think they said
a lot more rain.
Culverts in Tillamook County. I think there was 7,000 culverts because there's so much water.
Right.
And they had what was called the Working Lands Group, and so it was really neat. It was like the farmers, the DEQ, the commissioners, all the state agencies working together, the loggers. And saying, working together to get something done, but to protect everything, to protect, forest management and farmers and the environment and working together. And that's something I would love to replicate here. And so, yes, going to other counties, I've been to several and learned a lot from other counties, but not on a one like that one.
Yeah, that seemed like a really cool program.
Yeah, that was very neat. They were the first ones, I think, of all the commissioners to do that. So they broke new ground.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, very cool. Well, Donna, I was going to ask, so the commissioners visiting the different city councils, is that something that was going on before you 3 were commissioners, or is that something you guys kind of started?
Well, When I first started, it was actually Commissioner Jack Howard that started this, and it was mayor meetings where the commissioners would meet with all the mayors in the city, which was really good.
Yeah.
And so that had started when I first became a commissioner 7 years. So I met with the mayors every single month, and they could talk about different issues. They could get to know each other. They could be like, hey, I have this piece of equipment. Don't rent one. If you ever are in trouble, you can borrow one from us, that kind of thing. But the liaisons, that just started a few years ago. We just all decided to choose, instead of having to try to go to so many meetings, to choose a few towns. And that doesn't mean we can't go to the other towns, by the way. But yeah, just choose towns that we are kind of the specific liaison. So that is fairly new. Yeah. And I really like it. It splits up our workload. So, we can kind of give each other a report on, hey, that town needs this or this town needs that, instead of having to go to all of those. That's quite a few meetings. Yeah.
It's quite a few tedious meetings.
Well, too, and a lot of the city council meetings are the same night, so you wouldn't be able to go to both of them.
Right.
So I do North Powder, Cove, and Union. And so like I said, I still go to LeGrand sometimes, or Elgin, or, whatever. But those are the three that I try to go to the most.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us this morning.
Yeah.
And appreciate your visits. And we always have lots that we can talk about, right?
Yeah. Thank you, both of you guys, for all you do and keeping us up on the sports over here.
That's the easy part. It's easy for me.
Well, because you have a passion for it.
Yeah, it's the hard part of my job is anything outside of sports.
Okay.
but I have the best job on earth.
That is a good job.
I
have grandkids that play sports, so it's fun. I'm going to some of the young. I just went to a football game, one grandchild against the other grandchild.
Oh, really?
It was Cove and Elgin.
Oh,
it was Cove and Elgin. And then they were even actually covering each other in the game. So it's kind of neat. I could videotape them. That was
that's fun.
Cool.
Yeah. But I mean, I have all different ages, but they're the two youngest and they were against each other, which was kind of cool.
That reminds me of a story when the LeGrand kids that graduated this last year. Okay. So like Sam Chachis, that group of kids. Yeah. When they almost made the Little League World Series, they lost in the final game to Walla Walla, and there was like 5 kids on the team that had cousins.
Oh no!
On the Walla Walla
against
team.
Their cousins.
Yeah, so they're playing. I mean, it's
That's
all
funny.
So you're playing your cousin for a chance to
win the championship or to go to the championship.
And we get that a lot in the Valley. I mean, there's a lot of cousins playing each other.
Right.
Baker played LeGrand a couple weeks ago in football, and you got the McEmoyles and the Myers, who are their cousins. Yeah, there's just it's pretty common around here.
Yeah. No, it's pretty fun. Well, the junior high, which they're both in, is kind of neat now this year. I think it's neat anyway. They're bringing 3 to 4 teams together in one game, and then they just play 20 minutes, and they switch out, and then they play 20 minutes. So you're actually playing. You have 4 teams there, and you're getting more games out of the
jamboree.
way. Yeah, it's like a jamboree, but they're doing it every weekend, every time, and you get
really
a lot more.
Common.
Yeah, it's less traveling and more getting to play more teams all at one time. I think it's kind of neat. I like it.
I do too.
Yeah. So.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Well, do you want to?
Yeah, let's get us out of here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On this day, which is October 10th, 1845, the Naval School, now called U.S. Naval Academy, opened at Annapolis. On this day in 1865, John Wesley Hyatt patents the billiard ball. I said billboard. Billiard ball made from cellulose nitrate in Albany, New York, 1865. 1871, on this day, the Great Chicago Fire is finally extinguished after 3 days, leaving approximately 300 dead. And sorry about that little interruption. And 100,000 homeless, and costing $222 million in damage. 1899, on this day, African-American inventor Isaac Johnson patents the bicycle frame. And then 1978, this is the last one for this day because there wasn't a lot of things happening after then. U.S. Congress approved the dollar coin honoring women's suffrage, and it's Susan B. Anthony on the coin, 1978. the #1 movie on this day. Let me find my little thing. 1993. Demolition Man. Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
And then quote of the day, and we'll get you guys out of here. You're only here for a short visit. Don't hurry, don't worry, and be sure to smell the flowers along the way. Walter Hagen. One more time. You're only here for a short visit. Don't hurry, don't worry, and be sure to smell the flowers along the way.
All righty. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Thanks, Donna, for being here. And we'll see you soon.